Not just talking, top rope walking, ultimate Xing, serious flexing, never be vague with your boy Craig, and opinion mixing from Pete to Nixon. Keep doing things in an impactful way. Bloody nonsense, as the Brits say. Talking bloody nonsense.
Yes, it's me. It's the MIC Craig, aka Mr. Impact. Joined as always by the one and only Peter Nixon. This is Talking Bloody Nonsense right here on the TNA IW channel. It's a new week, it's a new Impact, but first things first. Nixon, how's it going?
Well, apart from device issues, I'm recording. Well, I'm using Skype on my Fire tablet for the first time ever, so this is all a bit new to me. So forgive me if the sound and picture quality isn't as good as it usually is. But yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah,
Feeling nicely. I got scratched to shit by my dog earlier because I busted the Wii out for the first time in ages, and she doesn't like the Wii remote.
Oh.
So yeah, I was trying to have a game of bowling, and yeah, she jumped up and scratched the shit out of my arm. So you probably can't really see it, but yeah, not much else to report. How are you?
No. Yeah, all good. If you saw the tweet, I will be coming down to Pro Wrestling East worth the wait. So make a showing up at PWE for the very first time. Excited for it, and of course get to hang out. So in person.
Exactly, for the first time ever.
Yeah. So exciting times ahead, but I guess we should talk some Impact Wrestling. Well, we will talk about Impact Wrestling, but we're not going to start with Impact Wrestling. For first time in a while, we're going to talk some British wrestling. Now, a bit of backstory. A few weeks ago, I was going through social media, and someone was making some claims that the Progress Wrestling cards currently are lacking the star power they used to. When you look at the previous cards, which featured, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, had so many incredible talent, especially when it comes to imports. And now, if you compare those cards to the current ones, when you have, if you look at the champions, for instance, you've got Kanji as the women's champion, you've got Spike Trevor as the men's world champion, Big Damo as the Atlas champion. Yeah, and Sunshine Machine as the tag team champions. Where do you land on this? Is it just that the times are changing in the British wrestling scene, or obviously financially it's not the best time for anyone, but they still get a lot of imports. For instance, Warhorse just competed. Shigehiro Eri is always around. So what's your take on that? Is it just the changing of the times?
I think there's a lot of different factors. In the glory days of Progress, they were not only bringing over imports, but they had developed their homegrown stars like Mark Andrews and Eddie Dennis, Ospreay, Jimmy Havoc. They all went on to do bigger things, across the world. Yeah. Or, as part of WWE, as part of NXT UK. Obviously, Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Havoc fell off a metaphorical cliff. And then, a lot of people got snapped up by NXT UK. We've talked about this on the podcast previously. Whether they now integrate themselves back into the independent scene or they wait until NXT Europe is a thing.
Yeah.
And we'll have to wait and see. So that it could get to a stage where Progress gets all these big names back. But then what happens to the current crop of stars? Are they just set aside? They're the people that have carried the company whilst these other wrestlers have been elsewhere. So, yeah, I think it's a lot of different things. The pandemic didn't help. But yeah, I just think from the glory days when they were at Ali Pali, that sounds so funny to say, doesn't it? When they were at Alexandra Paris a few times a year, and then they did Wembley. That crop of main eventers, that crop of stars have moved on, and that's just that's wrestling, and good for them. That's what's meant to happen. I think that's the main reason. Just the glory days might be gone, but they might come back for Progress, and you could say that about any wrestling company, really.
Yeah, it's Progress recently, last year got new owners, so there was a transition period when it comes to that. But even although the names aren't the same, the quality of the matches is still great. I caught not the previous show, but the show that went up on the WWE Network a few weeks ago from Birmingham. I watched that, and men like Darius versus Spike Trevay in a fantastic match, and Kanji versus Lana Austin. It's so much talent. So in that aspect, I think it's still really solid. I mean, I haven't really watched before that. I hadn't really watched much Progress, but you can't help but be aware of what they were doing, even if you didn't follow the UK scene to its fullest. Progress had incredible shows. You mentioned Hello Wembley, which biggest British wrestling show in how many years?
Yeah, if you don't include ICW's shows at the Hydro, then it's the biggest show since SummerSlam '92.
Yeah, it's incredible. But it's all a transition period, because if you look at the UK scene now, it's like I've said lots of times, it's had its ups and massive downs, but it's coming back up. And to take you back, I saw on social media Will Ospreay did an interview with BBC Essex, and he said that there you had a real alternative to WWE when the height of Progress, the height of Rev Pro before NXT UK came around, that there was a huge alternative to WWE. Is that something you agree with? Was that it's where it massively where that was its peak and it could compete with WWE?
I don't think anyone can ever really truly compete with WWE, but I think he's right on certain aspects there.
Yes, because as we talked about the state of British wrestling in earlier episodes, and if you go through the list of talents out there, it's so good, and more of them deserve to be on TV. And the Progress working relationship with WWE obviously helps. But I mean, it wasn't that long ago where Riddle and Keith Lee popped up back on a Progress show in some sort of thing with WWE, and obviously now Triple H is involved as the head. There's no reason why that can't pick up again.
Yeah,
Triple H is always. I mean, last night on NXT I didn't watch, but I've seen the matches. The Good Brothers teamed up with Cameron Grimes to face the Schism, and they referenced that Carlson was a current champion in Japan Pro Wrestling, which is something you never thought you'd see. I mean, last time that happened, I think it was Mickey James in the Royal Rumble,
Mm.
But in terms of New Japan, like I don't think there's ever been a current New Japan champion referenced on a WWE product. It's all about that. I suppose you can't really call it a forbidden door anymore because it's that door's open all over the place, and it's becoming more and more frequent. But yeah, it's Progress. They're arguably the biggest promotion in the UK in terms of name value and everything they've come about. It'd be, you can, it's Progress, Rev Pro, ICW, and a few smattered here and there who deserve a lot more attention than they're getting. But that's the case with every company. I mean, it's not impossible for these wrestling companies to get on TV. PCW, they're on. They're still on Fight Net UK, wherever it is called now. It's still on a showcase, I believe it is.
Right.
Where Impact used to air. They're still being shown on that. Obviously, Progress, Rev Pro, ICW. No, Progress, ICW are on the WWE Network. Rev Pro are featured often on New Japan World. It's the eyes to get the eyes. It's very easy to get the eyes on these products because of these major promotions putting a spotlight on them.
Yeah,
Impact used to do it quite a lot, particularly with PCW. That was on Impact Plus, and I believe still is on Impact Plus. Because that's where I watched the Lionheart Memorial Show. It's through Impact Plus.
Yeah.
So it's, in terms of star power, I think for me, I think they do have star power, but not on the international scale yet. These people who are featured have the capabilities to get on that level, but they're just not there yet. Arguably, some of them should be, but it's all about the attention the shows get, and then with new ownership of Lee McAteer, and I forget his name. Sorry, it's becoming a big thing again, and there's a lot of things have happened to slow it. It's caused everything to slow down, and rightly so. Now it's back up, on its way back up. So I think it still has the star power, just not in terms of the imports.
Yeah.
I think that's a safe way to round that up. If you're looking at based on the capabilities of the wrestlers who are in the ring, some incredible matches. Spot Trevay and Derice had a banging match, and Derice is having an incredible year. Won the Wrestle Carnival Championship. He's wrestled for the Progress World Championship. He's number one contender for the Kamikaze Pro Championship. Well, he holds the Bank on It briefcase. So by the end of the year, he could hold the Wrestle Carnival and Kamikaze Championship. He's having an incredible year. It was over in, I believe, it popped up in WXW a few weeks ago. So he's on however run. It's just getting the eyes, or for someone to take a chance on arguably one of the best British wrestlers right now. Definitely got to be most people's top 5, and is probably having the best year. So it's all about this biding the time, I guess.
Yeah,
because it will get back to that level again. It's just obviously it's going to take longer than most people want it to. It's like I mentioned last week. People seem to want instant gratification, and it can't happen.
That's indicative of society at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. It can't happen right now when you want it to happen. It will happen when it happens. So just again, let it play out. Wrestling is,
lately.
yeah. I mean, it's like the fourth time in two episodes. So, but yeah, it is what it's all about, because Progress are still having incredible success, still running fantastic cards, and they're not just putting on shows in London. They're going everywhere, which is a big plus, because when Progress were at the height, they were mainly in London. Now they're running Birmingham, they're running Cardiff, they're running obviously London, Manchester. So it's all about getting out there and make it more accessible to everyone, because it's a quality company. But I guess that will cover the whole Progress thing now, because it's probably a nice little topic to talk about. Get us back on British wrestling for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Now normal service will be resumed and we get back onto Impact Wrestling.
Well, before we move on to Impact, just want to direct people's attention to DOA wrestling this weekend in Bury St Edmunds. Unfortunately, I can't attend. I have to work, but our good friend, the Booker Man, Eric, has booked Hernandez, TNA wrestling legend, Impact, Swingers Palace, former multiple-time tag team champion. He's still here after the successful Fightmare, which I'm sure we'll talk about very soon.
Yes. Watch out for a little. Watch out for a graph or a little announcement in the coming week. Just keep your eye out. You'll like it. I'm sure you will.
Yeah. So Hernandez is going to be wrestling my good friend and worst enemy, Brad O'Brien, which I can't wait to see it on Fight. I wish I could be there live for it. But yeah, if you're in the area, or you really want to see Hernandez, or really want to see what DOA wrestling is all about, head on over to the DOA website, the Twitter, and get more information, and grab your ticket.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
That's a big get. Hernandez, I've noticed he's been over quite a lot lately, and it's every time he seems to be announced for a show, I seem to either have no money for that week, or I miss it completely, or he's too far away. No, definitely, that's definitely a show I'll be checking out when it drops on Fight. Gotta be checking that one out. But yes, now back on Impact Wrestling, and for the first time in a while, so that we can talk positively about this, the Impact World Title picture. It's watched Impact this week, last week. You have the World Title contenders, if you like. You have Bully Ray, you have Steve Macklin, Moose. You did have Bobby Fish. I'm not sure if he's still in that. But you also now have Frankie Kazarian, who's cashing in Option C. And take it back a few months, and we were both talking about what's next for Josh for this world title, because there didn't seem to be any contenders revealing themselves just yet. Now, so you have Bully Ray, you have Steve Macklin, Moose, Kazarian, and potentially Bobby Fish. So is this a sign of things moving upwards for Josh? And do you see any of those names I just mentioned beating Josh at any point? Do you see those that become world champion by beating Josh?
Well, first of all, that segment on last week's Impact, the segment that started the show, post Bound for Glory episode, with Josh in the ring, and then Bobby Fish, Bully Ray, Steve Macklin, Moose, all interrupting, and then at the end of the show, Frankie Kazarian saying he's going to cash in option C. Well, first of all, that segment at the start of the show was one of the best in-ring segments I've seen on Impact in a long time.
Yeah.
It was very well done. Everyone played their role perfectly, and it was really entertaining. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then, with Frankie Kazarian at the end of the show, it goes to show how deep the heavyweight division is at the moment.
Right.
I know they've just brought Bully Ray back, and Bobby Fish might not be around too long, and Kazarian might not be around too long either. But yeah, when you take into account Matt Cardona is back, you've got Sammy Callahan and Eric Young about to go into a feud, I presume. But they're two heavyweight contenders. Rich Swann, there's so many great contenders on the roster. Whether any of them will dethrone Josh, I still firmly believe that Steve Macklin will be the guy, probably to dethrone Josh at some point. But let Josh have a lengthy run. Let Josh have it for certainly until after Rebellion. Give him at least a year with the belt.
Right.
Build some prestige around a championship in wrestling. I know you've got Roman Reigns, who's been the champion for a long time. But you don't often see it certainly in AEW, and you haven't seen an Impact in a long time. Yeah, but have a lengthy run, build some prestige, so when the belt changes hands for the first time in however long, it means something, and it means, a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. And to touch on the opening segment for Impact, it was quality. I mean, the Bobby Fish thing, a little bit confusing. I wasn't that into it. But from that, it was Steve Macklin coming out. I was fully up for it. Steve Macklin, in my opinion, is the next Impact World Champion. Don't know when, but Steve Macklin is the next Impact World Champion. And you've got the whole Bully Ray thing, which I'm sure will continue to be played out as can he trust Bully, can he not trust Bully? But again, that's more of a story being added to it than it would be if it's just someone win the coil shot. And I'm still a bit miffed as to why Macklin didn't win it, but I'm not as I understand it a bit more now because I watched Impact, which is hopefully like a lot of people, they realize understand it a bit more because of watching Impact. But as far as what title picture goes, I mean, there's not a bad matchup in this picture. It's simple as that. There's no bad matchup to put it. This one, I think Kazarian and Josh, I've got a feeling that one will go down at the next Plus special, Overdrive. I think that's more like where it's going to go. And
is that in the Paris Town Hall in Kentucky?
Yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah, it's next one, which I'm on the 18th of November. Yeah, which I think that's a good place to have that one because option C is immediate. It's the next opportunity. So
yeah,
I'm all for that. And of course, you have the jeopardy, if you like, with Bully Ray hanging around with the Coil Shot Trophy, which could be cashed in at any point. And you have the added thing of, can you trust Bully? Can you not trust Bully? What's he going to do? Moose, I think Moose is the one I'm not as I'm still hyped for the match, obviously, because it's going to be a great match. But Moose was, feels like Moose was just in the title picture. He was just world champion. So I think that one can wait a little bit longer. But
Yeah, we've seen Moose versus Josh already.
yeah,
So yeah, give us something different.
but for me, on the opposite side of that, it's like, well, if I still believe Macklin is going to be the next world champion, are they going to have Macklin do it on his first go? Because if you're going to go with Josh and Moose, that has to be just not a throwaway match necessarily, but on a show that isn't that. On a show where that match will main event and be the rightful main event because it feels like the biggest match on the card. Maybe at a plus special, but I mean, there's only one more, and then it's hard to kill.
Where PCO gets his rightful championship match.
I mean,
13.
yeah, you never know. It's just if they can add him in, especially now. Because I'm guessing with the next couple of weeks we'll find out what's going to happen with OGK. But I suspect Heath and Ryan are going to win tag titles tonight. I've got that feeling in me. I reckon Heath and Ryan will pick up the tag titles. And then give OGK a rematch, and then off they go. I assume so.
I mean, I don't know how many shows were taped at Albany. I would have thought just the 2, and then they can move on to Vegas. I think is this weekend, isn't it? And that'll start airing next Thursday. So I would have thought, and I don't read spoilers, but logically, if you just look at what's happened on, what happened on Rampage, and they were on Dynamite as well last night.
Yeah.
The Kingdom probably lose the tag titles to Heath and Rhino tonight on Impact, and then that's them gone, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's frustrating because we get excited for a tag team and then they're gone. We get excited from finally win the tag titles and they're gone. The Briscoes win, gone. And Good Brothers second time around, win them, gone. And now we've got OGK Kingdom win, and let's face it, they're gone. If I can't, maybe there can be some sort of agreement in place, but I doubt it, and I think that's not. But as far as Josh, the Impact World Championship goes, these past few weeks, with starting with Eddie, and then their last week with Bully, finally it feels like there's more to Josh than just a fighting world champion. There's been a bit more added to that character because I'm a big fan of promos like that. I know a lot of people are fed up with them, but they're only fed up with them if they watch WWE because they're used to 20-minute promos at the start of the show. But I like that because it needed it. You can't just go on and just have a match or a backstage thing. That needed to happen. Josh needs to call Bully Ray out, and then every other contender needs to make itself known. As far as Kazarian goes in the X Division Championship option C, Frankie is relinquishing it tonight.
Okay.
The X Division title being relinquished tonight.
And when the new champion be crowned?
I reckon we're going to get. A part of me wants a no one contenders match, because usually when it's option C, they're straight after they do a Ultimate X, but they can't do another Ultimate X. So I think it's either going to happen at Overdrive between Trey and Speedball, giving Trey one extra match, and Speedball has an automatic rematch. I see it happening there. But
that was a bang. When did they last wrestle? Was it Emergence in Chicago?
I think no. I think the emergence. I think was Speedball and
Evans.
Jack Evans. Yeah, Trey and
Was it against
I
Aurora?
think it was in Vegas.
Yeah,
I think it was against. Yeah, but yeah, that's a banger.
I don't remember. But yeah, one of my 3 matches of the year, Speedball and Trey. So if they want to run that one again, then I'm absolutely fine with it.
Yeah. See, my thing on that is, again, if Kazarian wanted to be world champion, why do you have to win the X Division Championship? Kazarian can just because he's a face. He can go up to Josh and say, "I want a title match. Let's do it this place." So why does Speedball have to lose the X Division Championship if Kazarian's just going to drop it immediately to go after the World Championship when they can just make that into a story? Kazarian has never won the World Championship. They did it with Alex Shelley. Why can't they do it with Kazarian? For me, it's confusing.
Right.
Nah, it makes. I can't see the logic in it, but
All I can say to you, Craig, is let it play out.
Yeah, I guess that's what we can do. No, but I hope Speedball wins it back because he deserves a lengthy reign. But Trey has been out of the title picture for a while. I think it's more likely going to go with Trey.
If Speedball wins it back straight away, then the whole Kazarian thing would have been utterly pointless.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping they don't put it straight back on Speedball, because that would be. I mean, I'm fine with Speedball being the champion, obviously, but it would just make that whole storyline, nonsensical.
Yeah.
So I would sooner they put it on someone else before putting it back on Speedball. Maybe a new face. Maybe Alex Zane. I've been in his praises for so long. Give him a run with the X Division title. Doesn't have to be a long one.
No, it fits it perfectly. So I'm all for it. So I'm just I've been a big Speedball Matt Bailey fan for so long. So when he finally won that X Championship in a division he belongs in, to then now lose it just like Kazarian can go after the World Championship, and let's face it, there's a 80% chance he's going to lose, which I don't think is unfair to say, because if where things are going with Josh, Macklin seems like the logical choice, but with Impact, they're the master of the swerve. They can take you one way and then just quickly as that take you in another direction. So I'm excited to see how this plays out, because the X Division obviously now being vacant, and Kazarian, Bully, Macklin, Moose all vying for the world title. Impact is very much unmissable now. It has been previously, but now Bully Ray just hang around backstage with that quartershot trophy and saying he'll let Josh know when he's going to cash it in, but no one can really trust him. So I'm keeping track of May night Spurs game. So May night a 2-0 up, just for you know.
Oh, fair enough.
Get it. Anywho,
I've lost 3 games on the trot now. We lost to bloody Luton Town yesterday with 10 men. Rubbish.
All right. Yeah, of course, they're in the championship now, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe back into the wrestling, and who knows? Maybe soon you'll see a football thing come up. Maybe around the World Cup, you might see a little. Here on the channel, you see a little thing for the World Cup, but keep tuning for that anyway. But yes, the world title picture finally has some real threats to it, because you have the unpredictability of Bully Ray. You have Frankie Kazarian, who's never won the world championship. You have Steve Macklin, who I feel, even though he isn't technically, he feels homegrown. Steve Macklin feels like a homegrown talent, and it kind of feels like EC3 when he first started really building up. It kind of feels like that. It's going to be inevitable. Yeah, it's going to be inevitable that Steve Macklin becomes world champion and goes on to have a fantastic run. And if Moose wins, cool. Moose was a great heel champion. I mean, his promo after that night, after Battle Glory, was great. He called out every current champion in wrestling. So it's exciting times, because it's Impact finally have some contenders where any of them can win it. And now the X Division Championship is vacant. Have Spielman, Bailey, have Trey Miguel. Maybe they add a couple more. We have a four-way. Or, I mean, it's be too soon to do another triple threat revolver match, but that could be a good way to crown a new champion. It's more than one way to do it, and I'm excited for it, because it's always good when you don't know what's going to happen next, particularly in wrestling, because there's so many spoilers out there. It's nice to know when you don't know. So, huh?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But this transitions into our next topic. The re-signing of Chris Bay.
Yes.
And he's another to be the next X Division champion.
Yeah. Obviously, it was with Chris Bay re-signing. I didn't check how long he's staying around for, but it very much felt like Chris Bay had some unfinished business, and I didn't know the contract was running up. That wasn't made clear. Everyone else's contract is like unless Impact sign them right away, you don't know the contracts are running up. It's weird like that. But now Chris Bay is sticking around in Impact, and I was very happy with this news, because Chris Bay could go anywhere he wants. NXT would be a great fit for him. AEW, even though they're kind of full, they must be full by now. Tony Khan just signs people for the pop, which is beyond insane to me. Because I mean, TNA did that, WCW did that. It doesn't work. But moving on. So, and of course, there's New Japan, where you could just be a Bullet Club and compete in the Super Juniors, go after the Junior Heavyweight Championship. But no, sticking with Impact. And again, because it felt like during that period where Chris Bay kept losing, kept eating the pin in multi-man matches, it kind of felt like Impact was a bit pissed off with him for something. And from what I've seen and read, that probably was the case. Something happened and Impact were pissed off with Chris Bay, so they had him lose for a bit. But now he's staying on with Impact. What's your take on Chris Bay sticking with Impact? Can it only be a good thing?
100% a good thing. He's probably the most underrated wrestler on the roster. We've seen how good he can be. Former X Division champion, and his matches as a tag team with Ace Austin have been fantastic. But Jay White brought him into Bullet Club for a reason. The guy's talent. I have no idea if Impact were pissed off at him for something. I never heard that, never read it, but it would make sense, because considering he ate the pin, think he stopped growling. considering he ate the pin so much, in the last few months.
Yeah.
We talk about it every week about how Chris Bay deserves better, deserves to be winning, winning every match, as far as I'm concerned. I know it makes Eric laugh
Yeah.
about Chris Bay, but I'm so psyched for him to be sticking around, and they obviously have plans for him. Otherwise, they'd have just released him or not renewed his contract.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a great thing, a great sign that Chris Bay will be doing more in Impact Wrestling than he was previously. So looking forward to seeing what they do with him in the next few months.
Yeah, because with Chris Bay, he's part of that the Trey Bay Ace thing, which those three are without doubt the future of Impact Wrestling. It's those three. I mean, if you want to compare, that's the Joe, Daniels, and Styles. So the fact Chris Bay is sticking with Impact, and again, it's crazy how time works. It's 4 years to date from when he appeared on 205 Live. He got re-signed, which crazy how time works. But I was very happy with this news because Chris Bay is a star.
Oh, yes.
It's undeniable. He is a huge star and a future world champion. It felt like a few years ago they were gonna go that way. His match with Rich Swann for the world title was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just also they couldn't pull the trigger because Kenny Omega's coming in, and you had Moose lining up. So I get it. He didn't want Chris Bay losing to Kenny Omega. Fine, but now, like, obviously the world title picture is so stacked that it's going to take even longer to happen, but it can happen. And of course, there's still the option of the tag team titles with Ace. So it's
even more so now that we've just lost our number one heel tag team.
Yeah, I mean, although it's probably looking like Ace and Bay are going to be beaten by Dreamer and Bully Ray, which I may fast forward that match because I know it's going to happen. When you have that bad feeling in pit your stomach that it's going to be an unnecessary loss. But again, I suppose we never know what's going to happen because now you have Moose and you have Macklin. So, and of course, Bully can turn on Dreamer. It's not beyond what Bully Ray is capable of. So who knows on that one? But we'll get into some more in the final 10. But is it Chris Bay? Like I said, he can go wherever he wants. But the fact he's chosen to stay with Impact is a great sign. Purely for the fact it shows Impact are capable of keeping hold of talent. When everyone seems to think that everyone's leaving, Chris Bay sticking around, and it's just proven that Impact can keep hold of their talent when it comes down to it. So, I'm very happy because I'm a big fan of Chris Bay. I mean, it took Impact 2 years to sign him from when he debuted with Impact, because I believe he the same week was on Impact and 205 Live in the same week because of tapings. But took him 2 weeks, and now he's here, staying. Bullet Club stick around with Impact. I don't know what's happening with Juice, but again, hopefully Juice sticks around a bit longer. Ace, of course, Ace Austin is an incredible talent, and again, a future world champion. So it's all good on that front. Because
speaking of Ace Austin, very quickly, have you seen 1PW A New Twist of Fate yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
I started watching it last night. Ace Austin and Robbie X was tremendous. The first match on the show, the first match for this new era of 1PW. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. That's the thing with those two. I can already predict without even seeing it a match of the year contender because I've seen them both, and they're two incredible athletes. And Impact needs to sign Robbie X.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Robbie X in the X division would be perfect.
Well, yeah, he's literally named after the X division.
Exactly, and he is the best cruiserweight.
King of the cruiserweight.
Yeah, he's incredible. So Impact have to sign Robbie X. If they can sign Joe Hendry, they can sign Robbie X. Because in the X division, you don't need. Obviously, having a character helps, but unless you're familiar with them, it doesn't. Like you don't. With the X division, you seem to be good at being next division. You can show people your character, but as long as you're good, people will watch you in the X division without knowing fully who you are. Because I mean, I wasn't over familiar with Bandito, but he came in, had a banging match with Ray Horus, and now I want Impact to sign him because I did see something saying that Bandito hasn't signed with AEW. It has nothing, like there's been talks, but nothing's been made official. So there's still a chance.
I thought Tony Khan was throwing all sorts of money at him. I thought he was to sign Bandito after that match with Jericho.
From what I read, there's nothing been made official. The only one's made official is Roosh. Roosh is the only one that's been made official.
Okay.
From the Ring of Honor group. But no, it's. I think with the X division, people don't need to be familiar with you as long as you can wrestle. I mean, Chuck Mambo popped up in an X division match, a random X division match, a few years ago, and even though I think I'm the only one still talking about it because it's just because those X division matches, particularly in Canada at the St. Clair College, I love them. It was so when you get this like a 6-way X division match just randomly put together to decide a number contender, I'm all about that. And at St. Clair's College, those shows were incredible, and I hope Impact can get back to them. But first, come back to the UK, which according to Scott D'Amore is in their plans. So just get it done. Get it done. I guess we'll take it over to that final 10, 10, 10. And we're gonna spoiler. We're gonna talk about contracts. We're gonna talk about paper appearances with everyone. Like half the roster, it seems like, rumored to be now free agents. Although Deonna Purrazzo is on the Hard to Kill poster and on the Overdrive poster, so I guess just let's see what happens with that one. But paper appearances, it seems like everyone is being put onto those. Like, for most, do you think that is the way to go, considering how you can pretty much work anywhere now? think that is the way. It's always kind of been Impact's way. Do you think, in general, in wrestling, that's going to be a way forward for a lot of companies? Because as far as I'm aware, even though Carl Anderson is scheduled to be at Crown Jewel and defend his IWGP Never Open Championship on the same night, goodness knows how it's going to work. But what do you make of the pay-per deals? Because it seems to be Impact's thing.
Well, it's a necessity for Impact, isn't it? Because if they can't sign people under exclusive contracts because they just don't have the dates to offer them. If this was AEW or WWE, that would make a lot of sense. But they need their wrestlers to be working elsewhere because those wrestlers need to pay their bills.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a necessity. It does mean, unfortunately, that if WWE or AEW come knocking, then that's it. Then they'll be gone like that. Which is what we've seen with the Kingdom, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Having said that, it does mean because Impact like to sign people for short-term contracts, 6 months. That's what they did with PCO, Mia Yim. I think Brian Myers. I think he's on paper appearance now, but it does mean that they're cycling people in and out, which is fine because it keeps the roster fresh at all times. But it does mean if someone gets momentum, like Mia Yim, for example, who, she blew me away in that triple threat revolver at Victory Road. And then that match against Jordan Grace at Emergence and the match against Mickey James at Bound for Glory, she was on a hell of a roll. But now she's gone. And likely going back to WWE, which is great for her. I'm shocked for her. But yeah, she had unfinished business as far as I'm concerned in Impact, and she just didn't get round to all of those potential matches.
No.
So it's a big shame. Would love to have had her stick around, but I totally understand why she is out of there.
Yeah, I mean, as far as
just to finish my thought, that's the risk about pay-per appearance deals.
Yeah,
6-month contracts, but Impact don't really have any other option.
No, and on like contracts and stuff, Eric Young has signed his extension to his contract, but it's only for a few more months. I believe it's till the end of the year, which again now leaves that gap open for WWE to come back in and get him, which I wouldn't be surprised, even though he made his feelings clear when he left that how frustrated he was that he wasn't used. But Triple H seems to be able to convince some people to come back who thought we're done with WWE because of being used.
Here's the thing about Eric Young. Triple H did a great job with Eric Young with the Sanity faction. As soon as Eric Young went up to the main roster and was under Vince McMahon's, radar, he just fell off a cliff. So now Vince is out of there and Triple H is in charge of everything. I wouldn't be surprised if Triple H wants Eric Young back, and Eric, if that's the case, Eric would be foolish not to go back.
Yeah, it's fair enough, because it's if WWE are going to offer more money than anyone, so if it's there, take it. But they are re-signing a lot of people, which the budget cuts were cited as the reason a lot of them lost their jobs. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but hiring more people is only going to cost more. But I mean, as far as OGK and Maria go, I was fully under the impression with Impact, because it seemed like it happened quite a lot. Like, unless you, because it happened with EC3. Like, when he went to NXT, like, I don't think they're allowed to appear on other TV shows unless until after those TV tapings they were on had aired. Because it seemed it happened with EC3, even though he was in the crowd for NXT, whilst still working here on Impact. And I can think of a few more reasons. I think a few more. I can't remember. I can't think of the word. Words escape me. But it's interesting because it seemed like WWE again were interested in Taven Bennett, but it also now seems like they're probably going to be on AEW on a more regular basis. They do lose the tag team titles, then do we get that All Elite tweet?
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, it's really sucky, because even though I know for a lot of wrestlers they've stated that working Impact is a lot easier for them, it's less time consuming because you have a live special and then you do 2 days worth of tapings and you're done. I mean, yeah, it's like they're working like 5 shows in one weekend, which is just insane. That what their bodies can put up with working, and plus you don't know how many matches they're working in that taping, so it's beyond belief. But that's been the case with Impact for a while. People know the scheduling, and it works a lot better for them. But now, I know WWE picked up live events again, but they've also I don't think there's any more premium live events until the Royal Rumble now. We've got Halloween Havoc on Saturday, but
Survivor Series in November.
Survivor Series, and then so there's usually they always start the year. It was supposed to be day 1, but that's been scrapped. So that'd be the Royal Rumble, which, again, it's not the best schedule, but certainly a lot easier. I know it. This is going to be a thing with Impact. Contracts are always going to run up, and they do a good job of, like I said, keeping the roster fresh by bringing in new talent, because it's not like the wrestling world is short of it. I guess I think that pretty much covers it for another week. I mean, so do you want to drop a little hint of who we've got our next guest is going to be on chats?
What can I say about this person? He has a history with TNA. He trained overseas with the Team 3D Academy and helped out on the UK tours.
Yeah.
Back in the 2008, 2009, 2010. Prolific wrestler. In the UK, he's been wrestling for most of his life.
Yeah.
You say about this person, he's one of the best in the UK, and more people need to acknowledge the fact that he is so good.
Yeah,
he knows every aspect of this business.
Yeah, they're finally getting more eyes on them than more eyes. I can't think of what I'm looking for. it's taken long enough.
Yes.
Taken long enough to finally get some more attention and some real noticeable attention as well. But I'm very excited for this one. It's I was going to say something there is that could completely give it away, although there are many of them. But yeah, I guess we'll just keep our eyes peeled for the next guest, because it's a good one. I'm very excited for this one. Someone I've wanted for a while.
Great interview. This guy can talk.
Yeah, they've been on my list for some time since we started doing chats. In general, since I started doing interviews, they've been on my list for some time. But it will be happening. So keep tuned for that. Of course, go check out every episode of TBN Chats with Ricky Knight Jr., PJ Knight. You've got Lizzie Evo. You've got Rio. You've got TK Cooper, Simon Hill. So many more. It's incredible guests. Charlie Morgan, of course. There's always someone I forget, and I apologize. We can go check all of them out, because there's a reason we have them on, because they're some of the best talents in the UK, and they're always good to watch for a chat.
Yeah,
go check those out.
Speaking about people that have been on TBN Chats, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Len Davies, who was number 2 on our TBN Chats. Unfortunately, was involved in an accident and had his foot amputated. So he's in hospital at the moment. He's in very good spirits, but he's not doing too well physically. So if you want to show Len some love, he's on Instagram. Very easy to find. I can't remember his exact tag, but yeah, go and show Len some love, because he needs it right now.
Yeah,
he's a wonderful person, and hate to see him in this state.
Yeah, send in every bit of positive energy you can muster. But yeah, of course, go show Len some appreciation, some love. Go show anyone some love, because it's a weird world right now. But we move on because there's wrestling. Even though wrestling can be a bit weird sometimes. It's still go check out everything we've done. Go check out Talking Points from Battle Glory, see what the guys thought of that. Go check out Jeff and Lucha pretty much every week now on the main show on Sunday, live, twitch.tv/TNIW channel. Follow us here, there, everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you podcast. I've been the MIC. This has been Nixon, and will continue to be Nixon until next time. Goodbye, my friends.